the sentence of the week in media that changed the world. I'm your host, Renetta Gunn Stevens, CEO of Sophisticated Press.
And I'm your co host, Kiara Stevens, aka Magnificently Key. Each week, we bring to you the sentence that broke the internet and introduce the conversations needed to move forward as a culture.
Let's get it.
Okay. Hey, y'all.
Hey, world. Welcome to Sophisticated Sentences podcast. I'm your host, Renetta Gunn Stevens, CEO of Sophisticated Press.
And I'm your co-host, Magnificently Key.
And we are so excited today to come before you and talk about, should you tell your story or should you own your story? That is the question, to be or not to be. And so what brought us to this question is we are seeing a lot of inquiries in the marketplace that is asking you to share your story. Have you been seeing those, Magnificently Key?
Yes, it seems like nowadays everyone's like, tell your story. I want to learn more. Do a story time.
Yeah, and so we wanted to make sure that when you're seeing these inquiries that you will be able to know how to navigate and decide like
Mhm.
what is the best route for you in telling your story, identifying do you have a story, and what about if you don't have a story and you have a genius or an experience that you want to tell, how do you get that to the marketplace?
Yes, and also you have to figure out like if you even want to tell the story. I feel like a lot of people nowadays too are getting an audience and then saying, "Whoa, I didn't expect this to blow up." You gotta be ready. You gotta expect that thing to blow up.
Yeah, oh, expectations. That's like a whole podcast in itself because
Mhm.
you really do rise to the expectations that are placed on you and that are, that people put on you and you put on yourself. And so, yeah, like let's just dive into it. I think this is going to be one of our most informative podcasts that we have had year to date. So I'm so excited just to share with you my experience as a publisher and author for over 4 years now. It's really interesting to see, like, when I first came in the game, publishing companies wasn't really trying to get your story. Publishing companies were like the big dogs, and it was a privilege for you to come to them. But now we see a change in the marketplace where the publishing companies are now realizing that there is a new way to do business. And so now they're coming to the masses and saying, hey, we need your stories. And so I just want to share first that when you are deciding what to do with your story, what to do with your genius, what to do with your data, you have to know the difference between traditional publishing and self publishing. So, in layman terms, traditional publishing is when you have a literary agent, and that literary agent shops around your manuscript to publishing companies that fits the genre that you're in. And that literary agent, pitches your story and asks for a book advance. And the literary agent gets a commission off the book advance. But then the literary agent also helps you now to get some money in your pocket and be able to like get some fame and some notoriety in the marketplace because you have a book. Now, when you self publish, that is when it actually is what the first word says is self. That's when it's all you. That's when you're going to self pitch, self promote, self do all your graphic designs, do all of your marketing in the marketplace. You're going to self everything, self produce, self direct. And you have to be really prepared for two ways. And so, um, I would say that there isn't a right or wrong on which one you choose. It's just about knowing your strengths. And the first question that I will have you ask yourself if you want to go the self-publishing route is, um, are you ready to be able to, are you good at self-discipline? Right? because self-publishing is going to require a lot of self-discipline. Can you give yourself a goal and complete that goal? What are and for you to
Right.
think about, like, what are some of the goals you have placed on yourself in the past? Maybe a goal to lose weight, maybe a goal to save $500, and have you been able to accomplish that? And that can determine your self-discipline. What is a question that you will have for them?
It's, are you tech savvy? Are
That's a good.
you I know, right? Because after you self-publish this project, like you said, you have to self-market this project. You have to self-promote this project. So, are you comfortable on social media, making your own reels, your own TikToks, going live and really introducing your book, introducing your story, introducing who you are as an author? When you go the self-publishing route versus the traditional route, all of these things are done by you. Whereas if you were going a traditional route, you have a big company backing you, providing you with, marketing materials, providing you with brand strategies and marketplace strategies. So when you choose that self-publishing route, it's completely self-done. Everything is done by you. You're the marketing department. You're the PR department and whoever you choose to hire for yourself.
Yeah, that's really good because a lot of times authors will get so excited on the process of creating their manuscript that they
Mhm.
forget after the book is done, there's still work that needs to be done. And you have to get a relationship with social media, because social media is all about building those relationships with your followers. And no longer, when you are an author, you can't you don't have the luxury of saying, well, I don't want to talk to the people that's following me, or I
Yeah,
don't want to build relationships. And so tech social media is definitely, a need and a must when you are a author. But and they do have, virtual assistants. I know that we
mhm.
offer that service here in Sophisticated Press and Magnificently Key. You actually do a lot of the virtual assistant for clients. And can you talk to the authors about how it is okay if they know that social media is not their strength, how they can take advantage of virtual assistants? What's the benefits?
Of course, it's definitely a good idea to outsource your needs, that you need for your brand, for your business, if you know that you're not, physically able to do that for yourself. So you can hire social media managers, you can hire social media strategists, virtual assistants, you can hire operations managers. Basically, anything that you need to like promote this book for yourself and guarantee your sales.
Yeah, I love that. And then let's talk about that, because you lead us right into our next questions. Are you good at selling? And do you understand selling? I talk to so many authors who are just simply afraid to ask for the sale. They don't understand that becoming an author is really a entryway into entrepreneurship. And so once they have completed the manuscript, and once they have got their ISBN number and their copyright, now it's time to sell. Now it's time to market. That goes along with the social media. And what's interesting is that's when you really find out the confidence level of a person,
Mhm.
right? Because there is truly a thing, you all, that is a fear of success. I've seen it in so many clients. They just don't feel worthy to make money. They seem like they just feel more worthy if they have to work 2 weeks to get a paycheck, versus once you have this book, you can get paid every day. Like every day can be payday, but you have to understand selling. And so we have a trademark selling course that we're going to be presenting in quarter 3 of 22, and it's simply allow listening to execute. And that is an acronym that we came up for sell, because if you learn how to listen, then you will be a good salesperson, because the person that you're selling to will reveal their problem. And now you can go in your product and service Rolodex that that's under your book and say, okay, they've just shared this problem. What product or service can I use under my brand to solve the problem? And if you don't have a resolution, then you can we look at your niche because you shouldn't be
Mhm.
talking to people unless they're in your niche. But if you don't, then you can also, like Kiara said, you can outsource to somebody that's in your network that does have resolution. And now you're still looked at as a valuable resource in that person's life. What do you think about that?
Definitely, I 100% agree. You have to put in the work for this project when you go the self-publishing route. You have to make time for it, and you have to tell yourself every single day that, like, hey, this is what I chose to do. This is what I'm worthy of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like I'll share also as a publisher that you have to be careful when people just want your story, because the truth of the matter is I don't want you to waste time and I don't want you to waste money. And the
Mm.
truth of the matter is until you have really made a difference in the world, your story is not as valuable as you think it is. And I just have to tell you the hard truth. Many people, they'll geek you up and say, oh, you have such a wonderful story. The world needs to hear it. Well, before the world needs to hear it, the world needs to know you. And so
They
I
need to know
always,
what your contribution was.
yes, exactly. They need to know, like, why do you matter and why should I care about your life struggle? Why should I care about your childhood? Why should I care about your abuse? Because a lot of people that's been through a lot of trauma, and I get it. Everyone loves a good triumph story, but they have to know who you are. Like I always go back to that example of Michelle Obama becoming. If she would have did Becoming in law school, it would not have been one of the number one biographies in the world. But once she contributed to America and the world and became the first
Mhm.
African American first lady, now she has a significance that people want to know more about the title. They want to know more about what's behind the
Mhm.
person. And that's why Becoming was so desired. That's why the bookshelves couldn't keep her book on the shelves because they wanted to know who this person was that had contributed to childhood obesity in America and all of the other initiatives that she had. What do you think about that?
100% agree. So, for you people that are listening and you're wondering, should I enter the marketplace with my story first or why my story is important? Definitely lead with why your story was important. So you can say, hey, I became this. And then you go back and say, this is what I overcame to become who I am now. It
Yeah.
definitely gives you, and then it gives you a second book to sell. So that's even giving you another stream of income.
Absolutely. And we love multiple streams of income over here at Sophisticated Press and Sophisticated Sentences. And I think like your story definitely, so just hear us very clear. We're not saying like don't ever tell your story, but we're saying like lead with your significance first because really when you lead with your significance, it's going to also add those multiple streams because if I know that your superpower, let's just say something simple is your superpower is you're a plumber, but you're telling me your story. Okay, if I have a leak in my house, I'm listening to you or saw you, but I don't even know like you're this master plumber,
Right.
right? And that's the thing, you are. I use plumber because many of you think that you don't qualify or your story or your superpower is significant because it's not like a major title that you see out here. But if you're over 21, you've experienced and probably overcame something, whether it was high school bullying, whether it was,
Mhm.
going through the growth spurt, whether it was trying on makeup and lipstick for the first time. So no
Mhm.
matter what level you're at, you do have an experience and a genius that you can share, and somebody out there will buy your book. Like books are so trendy now. Everyone is getting a book and
Mhm.
everyone is definitely jumping in on this trend. The book industry is a $25.93 billion industry. And
Billion.
billion with a B, right? Let's give a moment of silence for the B, right? So we want you to definitely take this book industry seriously. We just don't want you to get scammed. Um, and so we don't want you to again waste time, waste money. We don't want you to get excited about telling your story and then if don't no one buy it. If anyone doesn't buy it, you're feeling like you're a failure and that you don't matter. And it's not that you're a failure. You definitely matter. It's a thing called strategy that you
Mhm.
gotta have when you're coming into the marketplace. And with the marketplace, there's a time and season for products and services. And so if you enter into the marketplace before the season with your story, then you will kind of put the cart before the horse, and you don't want to do that. The horse go before the cart. So yeah, I just wanted to share that today. And what you want to do when you're looking into a publishing company, you want to know, like, if you're and know this too, if you're paying for the services up front, you are self-publishing. And there's nothing wrong with that, because here at Sophisticated Press, we do a lot of self-publishing packages because we want you to own your intellectual property. We want you to own your story. But just know that if you are paying, then the ISBN number should be in your name, and the copyright should be in your name. That's what we do here at Sophisticated Press. We build your empire for you, and then we train you how to run your empire, and we make sure that your ISBN number is in your name, your copyright is in your name. So you do pay up front, but that's the only time you pay. Most traditional authors that go through traditional publishing that get that book signing, well, the ISBN number is in the publishing company name, and the
Mhm.
copyright is in the publishing company name. And it's kind of like they've bought your story and now they own your story. And so just really understand and say, like, where do I want my story to take me? Do I want
Right.
to own my story just in case HBO or Showtime want to do a documentary on me, and I get all of those proceeds? Or do I want the publishing company to own it? Which isn't a bad thing. It's totally up to and based on your situation, and have them do everything for me, because I know that I'm not, as we talked about, tech
Mhm.
savvy, self-discipline. It's just about being honest with yourself, right? Um,
Definitely.
yeah, absolutely. And so I just want you to know that it's okay, you all, to do either option. It really is. But I just saw like an influx of all of these like inquiries, like, do you have a story to tell? Do you have this? Do you have that? And it's like, of course, we all got stories to tell, but what is your motive? Like, why do you want my story? Right? We hear all the time where people just, sometimes we just go to people and we just want their validation, and we just want them to say, like, oh, you did a good job. And it's just time for you to validate yourself. It's
Mhm.
time for you to have the confidence that your story is good enough. And it's also, I am kind of biased because I like self-publishing. It's time for you to learn how to invest in yourself. I think too often people have been doing everything for us, and we just don't know how to invest in ourselves, to pitch ourselves, to brand ourselves, because we just give that task to other people. And those are tasks that you're going to learn when you self-publish. When I self-published my book, A Dad's Redemption, like, it gave me so many skill sets. It gave me time management, project management. It gave me confidence that I completed a goal. And you need those skill sets, so that way when you show up in the marketplace, you're confident. And I think that when you pass the buck to someone else, you're not getting that experience, and that's what makes you a master, the experience. What do you think about that?
Definitely. It gives you the experience, it gives you the knowledge, it makes you the expert in that field. So now that's, adding to your list of credentials and it's saying like, hey, I got this book under my belt. I can add this to my list of credentials. I'm an author now.
Yeah. And when you become the author, now when it creates speaking engagements,
Mhm.
we made a family history in our business. I was able to help my dad publish his first book. And within a week, he was getting speaking engagement requests. And so
Mhm.
that's the power of telling your story and owning your story. When you are the self publisher, he didn't have to go to a publishing house to get permission and things like that. Again, it's not saying the traditional publishing is wrong, but I'm just showing you, like, the opportunity that comes when you publish a book. You want to be able to make the decisions in your life that's best for you. and my dad had already started getting speaking engagement requests within 1 week of just launching his book.
Yeah.
So tell your story. Don't sell your story. Just wait. Your story may be worth some money later on, but I would go the self-publishing route. But if you know that you are not ready to handle all of that, then definitely look for a literary agent and have them, pitch your story. But I will
Mhm.
also just caution you to make, if you're going to tell your story, don't dump your trauma on your readers, because I've also had clients and people in the marketplace where you want to tell your story, but you didn't give the people a way out. So when they're done reading your story, they're depressed and they're sad because you just wanted to dump all of the trauma and tell all of the bad. And your story doesn't always have to be bad either. Like
Right.
sometimes, sometimes when people come to tell their story, it's just, let me tell you all the bad stuff that happened to me.
Mm. That's true, that's true, like, it's easy to get so caught up on, like, the bad and stuff like that, but what was the good part? Like, can we skip to the good part?
Yeah, can we skip to the good part? Yes, it's like your story doesn't always have to be that trauma and that
Mhm.
drama. It's okay to have a good ending. And if you
Yeah.
are gonna share the trauma in the drama, okay, great. Tell the truth, but also navigate us how you got out. What was the steps that you did to overcome and get to now this place of mental health, that
Mhm.
that you're now healthy, and emotional strength that you're in? Like, navigate us out the same way you came out, because if you don't, again, words have power, words carry emotion, words create. And so if you take your readers on this journey of telling your story and it's just so sunken and you leave them there, that is not good. That's not the objective um of your story. Even in movies, people like a good happy ending, right? Where they have like just a little hope, like, oh, he made it. Oh, he
Yeah.
got shot. He made it. I see him on the beach at the end, right? You want to leave because you want to leave them on an emotional high, even though you're going
Yeah.
to take them on an emotional roller coaster. Okay, so that's what we wanted to talk about today. We just wanted to share with you, give you some little nuggets. We hope that this was helpful to you. Make sure that you listen to our podcast and follow Sophisticated Synthesis on all of the podcast platforms. We are on Stitcher, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on
Spotify.
Yes. Make sure you leave us 5 stars and leave us some comments, and we'll see you next time on Sophisticated Synthesis Podcast.
See ya.
Bye bye.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Sophisticated Synthesis Podcast.
Make sure to visit our website at sophisticatedsynthesis.com, where you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or via RSS feed, so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or if you simply tell a friend about the show, that will be awesome as well. If you like this show, you may want to check us out on social media. Our handle is Sophisticated Synthesis on all platforms. Our hosts, Renetta Gunn-Stevens and co-host Kiara Stevens, are available for self-publishing consultations and speaking engagements. Email us at info@renettagunstevens.com.